Hello YouTube, welcome to another edition of Trip Rider. It's a Monday night. I have no dinner date, so I came to have some fast food udon at this shop here, which is one of my favorite simple udon places. Basically udon with tempura. Pretty good. Today's video is kind of sort of a response to Riding Japan's video that he posted today about cultural adjustments, changes, I don't know. There's a couple of different things in there, but something sparked my mind when I watched that video, thinking about how I've changed or how I've adapted to living in Japan for over 11 years. And one of the things that is very interesting is the fact that if you take a look here, you'll notice that the cars are all, in the same parking format. They all back in. They're not pulled head in, but they back in. Now, we all know that for safety reasons, it's a lot safer to pull out of a parking space than it is to back out of one. More accidents happen that way. So I'm not going to lie to you and say I know why they do this, but it would make sense that for safety reasons they back into a space. And coming from America, I can't say that I did it one way or the other. I think I've done both, but since I've been in Japan, I've adjusted my driving style to kind of match the Japanese. So when I park with my ass in the space, just like the bike. In this case, it's easier to pull out. So well, there you go. That's just one of the many aspects of adjusting to life here. Now, how the hell am I getting on the bike? I didn't think about that because I walked it in. Guess I'll go around this way. Oh boy. So let's see. Besides the parking thing, I guess I've adjusted to some of the same things he talked about. He mentioned something specific about somebody shaking his hand, and that still happens among Westerners, but still you meet Japanese clients or people you're working with and whatnot. I don't know. There's more, like I said, excuse me. I know there's more of a bow and exchanging of. I'm gonna go this way. This way is probably better. Oh, come on. What was I saying? I was saying, yeah, so generally you exchange your business card and you bow, or you meet people and you bow, and that's just kind of the way things happen here. Nobody really shakes hands normally, but Westerners still do it occasionally. Ooh. And I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, little things that you don't even think about that you do, you kind of adjust to where you're living at. And I think the Japanese drivers are not any different than any other driver in the world. You have polite ones and you have assertive ones, passive aggressive, whatnot. I think I've mentioned that somewhere else before. I think I drink a lot more green tea than I ever have in my life. And my diet is probably better, but let's be honest, some of the Japanese food is just as bad as Western food, with all the salt and soy sauce they put in stuff. Like my udon tonight was pretty basic, just some light dashi, the soup that goes in the udon, and then the tempura is probably the worst part because it's fried, but what can you do? It's good. I had a whole list in my mind about things that would be interesting or things that I know that have changed. But I guess it's more just public interaction. I try to be polite as a foreigner, because some people just have negative images, so you try to kind of kill them with politeness, I guess. And I've run into a couple aggressive people over the years, and I just don't care, so I just be polite to them, and if they don't be polite to me, that's fine. I don't really care. It doesn't really hurt me at all. I took the higher road and did the right thing. But that's not to mean I'm a pushover. I mean, when it comes to certain things, you know, I'll be pushy if I know I'm right about something. But Japan has all these procedures and rules, and if you ever ask a Japanese person to make a critical decision that doesn't go on their little checklist of how to do something, it can turn into a bit of a disaster. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but sometimes it's a bit excessive. You know, I follow the rules and do what I need to do, but you know, Japan is also famous for gray zone kind of stuff. So, well, you can do it, but you're not really supposed to, or I'm not really supposed to do this, but I can do it. You know, so there's that. I just try to fit in and not cause any significant problems. Because I've gotten that foreigner look when you walk into a shop, especially like a real, like, I mean, all shops are Japanese more or less, but you walk in and sometimes they get that deer in the headlight look, and it's like, oh God, it's a foreigner. What do we do? But then you speak Japanese and things are okay. I am not a fan of the Japanese queue. They love to line up for things, and sometimes it's a bit too much. I mean, when you're going somewhere to do something, yeah, you got to stand in line to wait for something. That's all and good. But sometimes, you know, sometimes they'll wait in line for hours for things, especially some new release item or some special new restaurant or something. You know, they'll stand in line forever. And in particular, there's a ramen place that's near my house, and it's famous for having a line, you know, a huge long queue in the evening hours from like 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. There's upwards of 60, 70 people in line waiting to have ramen at this little tiny shop. So, and every time I go by there on the way home, it's just always packed with people waiting to get in to eat. Personally, I've never eaten there because the line's so damn long. Let's see. Trash. If you've been in Japan for any length of time, or as a visitor or resident, you're clearly should be aware that there's a lack of public trash cans. I mean, they'll have small trash cans in the stations, more than likely after the gate, so you have to go into the station to actually use their trash can. Otherwise, you wind up waiting to find a trash can, luckily somewhere, or you just carry the trash with you to go home or in the office or something like that. So when you buy something, or if you're eating something and you wind up having trash, you generally have to carry it with you. You know, and I refuse to be a litter bug. I don't want to just drop the trash on the ground. I've seen foreigners and Japanese like just drop the trash on the ground and walk away. I don't like that. So aside from trash, what else is there that's of interest? For me personally, I don't think I've really changed that much. I've just really adapted to the culture. Like, I've just simply tried to fit in. I don't want to be Japanese. I don't want to be like Japanese. I just want to be myself. You know, I'm still American by birth and by culture, but I'm simply trying to fit in to adapt to things around me, which I think I've done pretty good with. The first 2 years, holy shit! That was just a culture shock, because I've visited Japan. You know, I've been here as a tourist, but actually living here was and then going into work for a Japanese company, it was just a real shock to the system, if you will. But 2 years, yeah, I would say 2 years went by, and after the second year mark, I was pretty well assimilated, I guess, and I was able to function without too much friction. Let's see, what other Japanesey things have I gotten accustomed to? Yeah, I don't eat frozen food anymore. I've gotten used to doing the whole daily shopping thing to buy fresh food to cook when I am cooking. My ratio of eating out to cooking is about the same as it was in the States. Although I'll take that back. I think I actually cook more than I did in the States. Oh, here's a good one. This is a good one that annoys the hell out of me. So when you're in a Japanese restaurant, they have 2 ways or 3 ways, I guess, to serve you. So you have the counter type of service where you sit at the counter, like at a gyudon place like Yoshinoya or Matsuya or Sukiya. So you sit at the counter and they serve you. Like a couple things like that. Then other places you go, like family restaurants and some other random places, they'll have the push button. Like you push the button and call the waiter or waitress. And then in every other place you go, you generally call the waitress by saying "Sumimasen, onegaishimasu," something like that. I don't know, something of that nature to get their attention when they come over and serve you. When I go to the States, that habit is one of the hardest fucking things to break, because all you want to do, like when you're ready for someone to come take your order, you have to kind of wait till they come by. I mean, you can call them, but I think they get irritated if you do that. But at least where I'm from, generally, if you close your menu, put it on the table, then that signals to the waitress or waiter that you're ready for them to take your order. Now, this is aside from the counter places like diners and things like that. It's a little different, of course, but I always have this bad habit of trying to say like "Sumimasen" or "onegaishimasu" or some Japanesey thing to call the waiter or waitress over, and that's really a hard habit to break. Or when, in the same manner, when somebody brings something to your table, you always say something like "Sumimasen," or and "Sumimasen" works both ways. It's kind of like "I'm sorry," "excuse me," or "please," or "thank you." It's like one freaking universal word to do all kinds of shit with. Onegaishimasu that's just basic please for the most part, and then like "yoroshiku onegaishimasu" is what you use for like introductions, and like I don't know, when I sign my emails at work, it's always something like "yoroshiku onegaishimasu" or "yoroshiku onegai itashimasu," something of the polite form. There's more to it than that, but I mean that's just something we use a lot. Let's see. Yeah, so when I go to the States, that's like one hard habit to break. I've been to other countries, of course, but it's all kind of a mixed experiences. I go to Hong Kong a lot. I go to Singapore a lot. I've been to China. I like Thailand, but I think, as I recall, I generally call people over and they're pretty cool with it. But the Americans, you try to call them over, they're like, what do you want? Or like, what is this waving thing? Or what the hell are you trying to do? I mean, I think they get it, but they don't know the background of it, I guess. Oh, here's a good one. So in the same discussion with the restaurant case, I love the fact that we don't tip in Japan. I have never worked in a system where I've had to be tipped for something, but I get it's important to some people how they make money. So I usually do tip very well, especially when it's good service. When the service isn't so good, I still tip, but not as good as I would if it was good service. But for Japan, there's no tipping. Like, it's all, they're getting paid a regular salary to do their job, and tipping isn't something that's generally it's not something we do. I've had one Japanese girl explain to me. She said that in some people's eyes, if you're trying to tip somebody, you may come across as saying, "Hey, you look pretty poor. They don't pay you enough money, so I'm going to give you some extra money because I think you need it." That's basically word for word what she told me about how some people view tipping in Japan. So I guess in summary, I think I've adapted to the Japanese culture and society to fit into their unwritten social rule system. And that's probably why the first 2 years that I was here was probably the most difficult. I didn't really have any problems at work. I did, but I didn't. Like, it was just, people knew that I was new, and people understood that I didn't understand the whole social rule system. But there's so many rules. And I mean, when I first started hearing these things, I'm like, well, holy cow, how am I going to remember all this? But eventually you keep doing it, you just kind of get assimilated into it, you know what you're doing. I mean, there's rules for, there's rules for everything. There's rules about where you stand in the elevator, and there's rules about where you sit at the meeting table. I mean, there's just all sorts of those, like, you know, business rules. But again, I don't mind. I've gotten used to it, and getting used to it and understanding how it works makes things a hell of a whole lot easier. And people are much more willing to deal with you and work with you when you make an effort to get into it and understand their culture and just the way things are. Excuse me. Almost made a mistake there. Alright, well, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm almost at my next destination for the evening. I need to take care of a couple of things and circle around and go home. There's a lot more to this subject, but I'll have to think about it a little more. I thought when I started this video back in the Udon Place, I had this whole idea in my head about, you know, this checklist of things that I wanted to kind of go over. But I know there's more. I just, for some reason now, I can't think about it. I am focusing on driving, so there's that. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys a lot. At the time of this recording, there were 122 subscribers. I thank every single one of you who come back and watch. Thank you very much. And for those who've just joined the channel, thank you very much. I really enjoy doing this, and you know, just knowing people are out there watching and clicking on things, it makes me feel good. I'm not here to impress anybody. It's just me on a bike in Tokyo, all by my lonesome. With that, that's all she wrote. See you on the next one. Take care. Be safe out there. Bye bye.